All right, friends, so you know what's been going on with this Steelers safety room, right? Jalen Ramsey goes down hurt, and then, if you remember from my last video, I told you they went and signed Rayshawn Jenkins on top of that. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that's just depth. That's just insurance for Jalen Ramsey. Well, turns out that wasn't the real reason at all, because one of the safeties they were counting on this whole offseason, a guy they agreed to terms with all the way back in March, just got let go, just like that. And when you actually lay out his whole timeline from signing to this release, it is one of the strangest offseason stories I've covered on this team in a while. So stick around because I'm going to break all of it down for you, and I've also got some fresh training camp winners and losers to get into as well. Hello, Steelers fans. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, so let's get into it. Earlier this offseason, right during free agency, the Steelers agreed to terms with Darnell Savage, and at the time, everybody's kind of nodding along like, okay, that's the safety spot handled, that's the guy who's going to start next to whoever else is back there. But here's the thing, he doesn't even officially sign until minicamp rolls around. I mean, think about that for a second. You agree to terms and you don't put pen to paper until minicamp. That right there should have been a sign that something wasn't sitting right. And then it just kept going. He practices one single time during minicamp. Then training camp starts and he practices one time there too. One time. And then he just misses the last 2 days of camp completely. Now, when a guy starts missing time like that, naturally you assume it's an injury, right? That's the first thing that crosses your mind. And honestly, I was kind of leaning that way too. I was thinking, okay, maybe Darnell Savage is banged up. Maybe that explains it. But then this news drops and it changes the whole picture. According to Brooke Pryor, the Steelers have released Darnell Savage. Just like that, the whole thing is over. And look, I gotta be honest with you, I was kind of optimistic about this guy. From what I'd seen out there, he actually looked good. He wasn't out there struggling. He wasn't the guy getting beat on routes. He looked like a legit piece for this defense. So this isn't a situation where the tape told you this was coming. If anything, the tape told you the opposite, which is exactly why this whole release feels so strange to me. Because usually when a guy gets cut like this, there's a performance reason behind it. And that's just not what we saw here. So now you got to ask yourself why? Why would you let go of a guy who's actually playing well? And I think the answer connects to something else that happened just recently. Remember, they went out and signed Rayshawn Jenkins. And when that signing happened, my first thought, and I think a lot of people's first thought, was that this was just depth. This was insurance. This was them adding another safety to the room just to have bodies in camp. But now, looking at it with this release attached to it, it's pretty clear that wasn't the real reason at all. Rayshawn Jenkins wasn't depth. He was the replacement. He was brought in because they already knew, or at least strongly suspected, that Darnell Savage wasn't going to be part of this thing much longer. And that's what makes this whole situation so interesting to me, because it also ties into everything going on with Jalen Ramsey. Now we know Jalen Ramsey has been dealing with something, and the plan the team rolled out publicly was utilizing his Charles Woodson-style position versatility to hold things down once he's back. And I remember thinking at the time, man, if they're bringing in outside safety help, maybe Jalen Ramsey's situation is bigger than they're letting on. Maybe this is more serious than just a minor tweak here or there. But now that we see Darnell Savage is the one who's actually gone, it kind of clears some of that up. Because if the real concern was Jalen Ramsey being out long-term, they probably wouldn't be cutting a safety who was actually playing well. So in a weird way, this whole Darnell Savage release is actually good news when it comes to Jalen Ramsey. It suggests that whatever was going on there wasn't as dramatic as some of us were speculating. Now, here's where I land on this. I genuinely don't know the full reason behind why they moved on from Darnell Savage. I mean, on the surface, when a guy signs late, barely practices, and then disappears for the final stretch of camp, that tells you something was going on behind the scenes that we're just not seeing. Whether that's an injury that turned out to be bigger than expected or something else entirely, I couldn't tell you for sure right now. But what I can tell you is this move changes the whole complexion of that safety room. Rayshawn Jenkins now steps into a much bigger role than anybody probably expected him to have when he first signed. And the real question I've got going forward is he good enough to be that guy? Is he good enough to be a full-time starter back there? Or is this room going to need even more help before the season actually kicks off? Honestly, I think we're going to get more details on this as the days go by. Something this sudden, this dramatic, usually comes with more context eventually, whether it's from the guy himself or from more reporting coming out of camp. But for right now, all we know is the Steelers wrapped up one of the strangest offseason stories on this roster, and they did it fast. And I'll say this, whether it was the right move or not, I think we won't really know until we see how that safety room actually performs once the games start counting. Now, switching gears here, because I promise you some winners too, and there's a lot to be excited about on the other side of the ball right now. Offensively, this team looks like it's actually clicking early in camp, and a big part of that is the quarterback play we've been seeing. Drew Aller has been putting the ball on a rope, man. I'm talking about zip, I'm talking about arm talent that makes you sit up and pay attention even in these early 2-minute drill reps with a lot of backups around him. And I know it's easy to look at this and say, hey, it's just camp, nobody's got pads on yet, and that's fair, I get that. But when you keep seeing throw after throw like that, you start to believe there's something real here. And here's a little detail that stood out to me watching that same rep. On the defensive side of the ball, you had Peyton Wilson, TJ Watt, and Alex Hymuth all just sitting on the ground, not even involved in the play. And Cameron Hayward was standing off to the side too, along with Derek Harmon. So you had a good chunk of that starting defensive front just watching from the sideline while this happened. Now, I don't want to read too much into that. Could be load management, could be nothing at all. But it does tell you the coaching staff is being smart about who they're putting out there this early in camp. And it's also part of why the offense is getting these clean, extended looks right now. And I'll say this too, because I think it's worth bringing up. Last year around this same time, we were all doing the exact same thing with Will Howard. Everybody was hyping him up, myself included, honestly. And I remember there was a group of fans saying, just go ahead and start him. And I was one of the guys saying, hold on, slow down. You don't throw a young guy into the fire before he's ready. I felt the same way about not wanting to see Mason Rudolph out there either. So I'm trying to keep that same mindset with Drew Aller right now. I'm excited, don't get me wrong, but I also don't want to rush him. Let him keep building in camp, let him earn it. And it's not just the passing that's got me feeling good. What's making it even better is what's happening around him. Aaron Rodgers has looked sharp too. Honestly, still got it out there. And he's been building some real chemistry with DK Metcalf. I mean, slant routes, contested catches in the red zone, these guys are finding each other. And even Michael Pittman Jr., who I'll admit I was a little worried about because I hadn't seen him really finishing his routes the way I wanted, he looked like he was actually running through his routes properly this time. And that's a small thing, but it matters. And from what I've seen, DK Metcalf has really stepped into this leadership role for the offense. It sounds like last year, guys weren't really speaking up about which plays they liked. Everybody was just kind of keeping it to themselves, and the coaching staff was calling plays without really knowing what the players actually wanted. This year, it sounds like that's changed. Guys are speaking up early in the week now, saying what routes they like, what they don't like, and that open communication is showing up on the field. And it's not just the veterans. Roman Wilson is out there making plays too, and I love seeing that continued development. Then you flip over to the defensive side for a second, and there's a name that's been turning heads that I think deserves some attention. Dalen Everett, a rookie corner playing like he's already been in this league for years, locking things down out there. That's the kind of stuff that gets me excited about depth on this roster. So that's where things stand right now, guys. A safety room that just got shaken up out of nowhere, and an offense that's given us every reason to believe in it early. Definitely a lot to keep tracking as camp rolls on. If you're feeling as fired up about this team as I am, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.